Well, welcome. Thank you for being here at the Yole Work from Home Wellbeing series. Lovely to have you with us again. My name is Zanette Johnson, and I am going to be sharing with you today about the role of curiosity and how it can actually increase our ability to perform in the many different roles that we have in our lives. Cultivating curiosity at work is not something we usually think of. Innovation is a big popular word, but curiosity is actually quite a bit different than innovation. Innovation describes a process, whereas curiosity describes a state of mind. And I chose this image for our first title slide of the stars over the earth. And I chose this image because curiosity is actually the genesis of humans' conception of sense making. How did we, as a ancient species on the earth, look up at the sky and start to make sense of the way that the stars seem to turn during the course of the night? At what point did we realize that it was the earth turning and not the stars turning? The following of the movements of the stars and the moon and the sun is one of the curiosities of our species that made it possible for us to begin to develop a conception of time. And many anthropologists think that that marking of time is really the beginning of human self-awareness. So in many ways, curiosity is related to the origin of our species itself. Now, what does that have to do with higher performance? It's a quality that is deeply rooted inside of us, and it's also a state of mind, something that we can cultivate. We can neglect and not attend to, or we can cultivate it. Typically in our professional environments, we're under a degree of pressure. Stress is characteristic of the modern age. And because of that, there's a reactivity that happens at the level of our biology that we can kind of shut down. You can imagine what it was like for our ancient ancestors, knowing that a tiger was lurking in the forest. They would go right into survival mode, and the open state of looking up at the stars with the awareness that there's a wild animal in the forest nearby, all that curiosity would evaporate, and they would have, their heart starts beating, the fight, flight, or freeze response takes place, and then it becomes very important to come into the present moment and begin to act based on the stimuli at hand. That's the state that we often come to our workplace in. There are pressures and expectations that we are 100% competent 100% of the time, or else there are 100 people waiting to take our job. And that state of being, that it's an embodied state. It's something that takes place at the level of sensation and emotion, and at the level of our neurobiology. Emotions are just a bunch of neurotransmitters that are distributed in our body that we interpret to mean that we are scared, or that we are angry, or that we are elated, or that we are filled with anxiety. It's really a biological state that underlies our ability to respond or to react in any given situation, and what we do with those emotions, how we choose to respond to them. At Yole, we teach a lot about the somatic cues that we can utilize in order to bring ourselves back to the present moment. And curiosity is actually also a state more related to the mind than to the somatic, but curiosity is a state that we can also use to bring us back to the present moment and to regain that that openness, that open-mindedness, that curiosity that allows us to really make sense of what's happening in the present moment. Now, one of the metaphors that we have in our culture is the metaphor of beginner's mind. When you think about a child and, what is going through the head of this little person? They are looking at the string, and perhaps this string is a tightrope in their mind, or maybe they've never seen someone walk on a tightrope. Perhaps it's just a sensory experience that they're experiencing the way that the string feels. Perhaps it has become the flight of an airplane through the sky. There's an infinity of possibility within the beginner's mind. And this actually is our nature. It's how we came to be as a species, and it's also how we came to be as an individual. That inbuilt curiosity is part of what has made us who we are. And lest we think it's okay to neglect that, this talk is a call to re-invite that curiosity back into everything that you do, whether it's your role as a professional, your role as a parent, your role as a child and a family member. In every way, we can benefit from re-accessing that beginner's mind and really tuning into what's there in the present moment. Now, how might curiosity actually improve our performance? It's not initially obvious, but curiosity can boost our performance by increasing our awareness. Awareness in the present moment at any given time. So if you think of the way that we typically go through life, we're operating on the basis of schema, mental models, if you will, ways that have worked for us to make sense in the past. And in the current moment, we often will rely more on those mental models or the schema that are built into our expectations and our assumptions than what's actually happening in the present moment. So by entering into that state of openness and curiosity, we allow ourselves to see what's really before us, what's actually happening in this present moment. Example that I'll give is that my home, where I lived for 13 years in Hawaii, is currently rented out to some friends. And when they let me know that due to all the changes, they were going to leave and move back home to their family in another state, my first response was, oh no, this is a terrible time to have to go and find new renters, and no one's going to want to move. Everyone's going to already have found a place. And, that fight or flight reaction started within me. And I took a moment, I took a deep breath, and just tuned into what I was feeling. And I thought, how can I see what's really in front of me right now? And I realized that all the work that I've done to care for my house from afar, where I'm living in California now and my home is rented in Hawaii, I could actually use this as an opportunity to sell my house. I've not wanted to do it, but this is actually something that I couldn't see for about the first half hour. I took the time to breathe and just settle down. And as soon as that state of curiosity blossomed inside of me, I realized there's an opportunity here that I wasn't able to see before. And in that moment, I knew that curiosity was something that was an asset for me. And I think in many cases, particularly in this time of radical uncertainty, we are responding to the unknown by trying to control, by trying to immediately, my mind went to, okay, well, I've got photographs and I can put it up for rent. And I know, who my people are to call and find out if they have anyone who works for their company that might need a place. And moving out of that strategic and tactical way of thinking was what allowed me to open up to the larger possibility at hand. So that's one way that curiosity boosts performance, is it brings us into the present moment so that we can see the actual details of what's taking place and to be in our full awareness rather than just the immediate details that are at hand. Another way is that curiosity can bring us into flow states. While there are many different elements in flow, it can't happen without the openness that curiosity characterizes. So if you think about flow state, there are many different things. Flow comes about in different ways for different people. For some people, it's skiing down the mountain. For others, it's quietly painting in their studio with classical music on. But whatever your activity is that brings you right into flow state, you probably know what that is for you. And if you don't, I encourage you to find it, because it's an incredible key. Flow state brings us into a place where we have up to 500% greater ability to learn and retain information. It's actually a biological state as well that's characterized by the presence of 5 neurotransmitters that are often found in the body, but only found together during flow state. And one of the things that allows us to enter into this almost magic seeming way of appearing, where time either extends or shrinks down, and we know we're just in the zone and we're so much more productive than usual. One of the keys to that is being able to be open, not just physically relaxed, but open and alert in a relaxed way. Such that we're able to make sense of what's around us. And cultivating curiosity is one of the ways that we will be more able to enter into that flow state more quickly, and thus to increase our performance in the ways that flow state has been shown through research to be able to do. Next, curiosity boosts performance by increasing our creativity. So creativity is defined as the number of ideas that we can come up with in a defined amount of time. That's sort of the measure, the default measure for creativity in learning science. And so imagine I send us back to that small person with the string. If you were to brainstorm a list of all the ways that that person could use the string, you would be activating your creativity in a way that can be measured. When we're in a state of openness and don't have a predetermined idea that that is a string and it is for tying things, that preconceived notion can actually get in our way of the ability to see what that string could be used for. Maybe it's not a string at all. Maybe it's a point in the space-time continuum that has only 2 dimensions and is allowing us to travel through time. Creativity is described in many different ways, but in terms of that definition, there's a link between our ability to open and our ability to create and to generate lots of different possibilities. So if you think of it like the metaphor of a flower. So we are a flower that's open to the sun, and something happens that activates our nervous system and our petals begin to close. We're no longer able to engage in that flow of giving and receiving of light and respiration from the sun, because the finger has come and touched us, and our petals close. So in that place of curiosity, we can start to open again and begin to receive that flow of receiving and generating when we're that flower that is open. And those possibilities simply aren't available to us when we're not in a state of curiosity. One place that curiosity also is known to boost performance is in the realm of empathy. Now, we know that empathy is really one of the heavy hitters when it comes to culture and people and engagement. There are all different kinds of research from many different domains that tell us the power of empathy for relating to people and understanding what our colleagues are going through, and making it possible for them to offer their best performances when we're in a position of leadership. Empathy is only really possible when we're open to understanding perspectives beyond our own. And I'm sure each of you has a story about a time when you failed to be as empathic as you could, maybe with a work colleague, maybe with a family member, because you were feeling stressed and a little bit shut down. In retrospect, why didn't I act the way that I really wanted to act? Why didn't I show up in alignment with the values that I hold? Well, curiosity is one of those states that if we can cue ourselves to remember that, and if we have an ongoing practice that brings us back to remembering the power of curiosity, we can develop that muscle, if you will, of empathy to show up in those moments of crisis and really make the connection from the place of curiosity. So one of the ways that I like to talk about curiosity is that there's an inverse relationship with control. Sometimes we have moments of challenge that push us into those states of control. So I wish I could point somehow on this slide. I can't point. When we are in that fight or flight stage, we're in the lower left quadrant. We are reactive and we are grasping for control. When we are in a somatically relaxed state and we are breathing, we're aware of the sensations we're feeling in our body, we're aware of the other people around us, and we're able to hold our mental models of what they might be experiencing, it's then that we are in a state of high curiosity, and we don't need to react because we are able to experience the different phenomena around us with a sense of equanimity. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, subjectively speaking, we're able to sit with what is. And that's when our curiosity really can rise and we can show up with the performances that are the best that we're really capable of. So in that lower left quadrant, we might be responding by thinking, oh, this is the only way. When you're in a high reactivity and high control, it's like tunnel vision. There's only one outcome, and it's got to be the way that I know that this is how it's done. And I can assure you, when I heard that my friends who rent my house were leaving, I've got to rent the house again right away. I can't afford to lose my rental income because, I'm not doing as many facilitation gigs now that we're all inside. And, that this is the only way came right out inside of me. And then with a little bit more breath and calm, I could open up into that feeling of, okay, yes, this is not a good situation and I'm scared. And what are some of the possibilities? Maybe I know someone here who wants to rent a place. There's a difference between that. Yes, but there's a little bit more possibility than the tunnel vision of this is the only way. In the other side, where we're responding with equanimity, but still holding on to that sense of control, a response might be something like, sure, we can try that. As long as it fits into my plan, we could try that. It's not really open, but it's not really reactive either. There's a sense of let's try and see. But let's not go too far. It's measured and cautious. And then in that fourth quadrant, where we're high curiosity and high equanimity, it's let's try it and see how it goes. There's an openness, a bias toward action. Let's test it out. I'm open to the possibilities. And that's really where we want to start paying attention to which quadrant am I operating in. If we're going to get our best performances from ourselves in greatest alignment with the values that we hold, recognizing, am I in those other three quadrants, or am I in that high curiosity, high equanimity quadrant, can be very powerful. Learning to just tune in to where am I at, where am I coming from, and how can I cultivate greater curiosity in this moment of challenge, even though my neurobiology is telling me to move to a place of control. How can I bring myself into that space of greater curiosity and greater equanimity? Oops. And so, I need to stop sharing my screen. Help.
On the bottom, Z.
I don't have that window right now. It's gone. All right, well, what are my options? Stop video. Okay, does that work? Did that take the screen away? Can you still hear me? No, you can still see my screen even though I've stopped my video. Okay. Well, let's just play the slideshow again until we'll go back to. Right. So let me ask you a question. When have you been feeling curious lately? I know that we've been in a time of pervasive uncertainty, and have you had any moments of curiosity where you felt yourself opening up to possibility?
Hey, sorry, I think I was having some video issues. Yeah, I think just, for me, just being a consultant, obviously I'm having to be open to many different new possibilities as I've, lost some clients, picked up other clients. So I can relate to your wanting to control, in this first hit. But I think the more creative I've been, the more I've seen come my way. So it makes a lot of sense.
One of the ways that we can often express our desire for control is to try to move into efficiency and think, okay, what has worked before? What might work again? And it's exactly in times of change and transformation that is the most harmful behavior. It's during these times that we need to open up to innovation and start trying and experimenting with different possibilities. So the idea that that we can come back to the present moment and restore our ability to see the possibilities that are actually around us, to start to tune into the opportunities that are available, just with that reframe from, what worked before, I've got to dive into. It's more than just a shift of mind or a shift of perspective. It's actually a shift of state. And so I would love for us, even though I can't see you, I would love for us to just do a practice right now together to invite that state of curiosity. And so it's a little bit physical relaxation, but it's also just allowing ourselves to come back with mindfulness to the present moment without any judgment of our responses or our reactions over the past few months, but just to come back into the present moment and to tune into an opportunity that you might have missed. Allow yourself, kind of like clouds floating through the sky, allow yourself to become aware of something that you're curious about right now. And I'll just invite you to rest your arms comfortably on your legs. Feel your feet on the floor if you're seated in a chair or if you're standing. And just really allow yourself to be here fully. And as you drop into the sensations of this moment, you may become aware of your breath passing through your nostrils, in and out. That flow of breathing like waves flowing onto the shore and back outward. And as you arrive just here and now, noticing everything that's available to you right now. Perhaps you're aware of the sounds surrounding you. Maybe those sounds are causing you annoyance. Maybe those sounds are causing distraction. Maybe those sounds are creating a pleasantness. But you simply notice them with equanimity. And if thoughts are entering, you notice those thoughts, allowing them to be exactly as they are and allowing them to pass through. Perhaps there's a particular thought prompted by the question I asked earlier about an opportunity, about a curiosity, about a possibility that is in your field of awareness. Allow yourself to focus in on that thing in this place of openness and curiosity. Without needing to see it in a certain way, just allow yourself to bring it to your mind's eye as if you can see it right in front of you. This thing that you're curious about. What are the possibilities within it? What is the spectrum of light that becomes visible, one color at a time, as you shine your light of awareness upon it? There's so much here in this opportunity that's come to you in the moment. Perhaps it's not a thing, perhaps it's an idea or a concept. Maybe it's even a person's face that's come to you. Allow it to be what it is and allow yourself to receive its message in your open state of curiosity. And with your mind's eye, or even with your body, reach out your hand to receive, literally or metaphorically, what this opportunity has to give to you. Receiving that understanding as if it were in your hand. Bring your hand to your heart and simply tap Gently tapping your heart, stimulating the thymus gland that lies behind it, and bringing yourself back into the physical awareness of the body, back into the present moment where you are seated or standing, and opening your eyes, regaining your awareness of the room and what's around you. Taking a nice big deep breath and joining the group again. Thank you for being open to that experience.